Hello everyone and welcome to the Level Design Lobby. So this is part 2 of my interview with Ward and Marthe as I talk to them about concept art, Monster Hunter, Hellblade and many more subjects. This was episode 22. If you want to hear the first part, please go listen to episode 21. This is going to jump straight into it. So without any further ado, let's get on with it.
I think that's the important thing is there's a lot, it's a tough one and I'm happy they addressed it. I think there's some amazing stuff, as we said, with it. I'd be interested to see if there probably is going to be a second one, but I'm interested to see what they do with it because the ending was strange because you became the boss at the end. Like I found it hard to interpret.
You fought with yourself?
Something along that,
Try to battle your own demon
but that's like
inside.
The whole
because
like
she was actually
right, you're battling with yourself.
But wasn't she Freya? I think she was like Freya though. She's supposed to be the god
that was
of...
actually
No, she was like the god of like hell.
But I think
like the god with like the half alive, half death.
Her name might not have been Freya then, but she was like a Viking goddess or something.
Yeah, I think the name was Hell, right?
Hell,
Yeah, Hela or something like that.
Hela.
Or Hela.
Maybe
Yeah, that was it, sorry. And because then it looks like you died, and then you switch, and it was her, but you're there, and like I said, I do think part of it was the mental side of it, like, because the waves never stopped coming right in the end against, and that was like, because I kept thinking I was going to die, and like, permadeath was on there, and I was like, God!
battling.
And that was a really nice one as well, because like, you're used to facing at most like 3 enemies at a time, and now you've got 10.
And they just, it kept on coming,
And so like, that was again, it was an interesting one, so I'm interested again to see what they do. If there probably is going to be a second one, I don't know, but I'm just going to guess off the success of this. I imagine they'll release a second one,
Yeah, or they'll make like a completely new thing in the same spirit.
And it looked beautiful.
Yeah,
I have to say, the game was so beautiful.
That was really nice,
especially considering like the small team.
And I was so impressed.
It was like really working smart, I think.
Yeah, not hard, but smart.
So that was really well done,
Yeah. No, so we congratulate you, Ninja Theory. Thank you for making Hellblade. Okay, so now that we've finished our topic up on Hellblade, we're going to move on to some questions.
To the lighter stuff.
The lighter stuff, yeah. No controversy here. We're going to move on to some questions, because as I said, there was a lot of people who enjoyed this episode, the previous episode, episode 9, who wanted to ask you guys some questions. So I have them here. The first one is, what advice would you give... No, sorry, the first one actually. We'll get into it. I'm going to rearrange that. Sorry, professional. So how did you guys break into the industry then, was the first question.
So I guess we have to start at our game university.
Yeah.
We both in Holland we went to a university called Utrecht School of the Arts, which has like a game design course. Mm-hmm. It's actually a pretty good one, I think. But when we went there, it was like still.
This isn't sponsored by
no. This isn't. No. But when we went there, it was still in the early stages. So there was like one game design course that did everything.
Right.
So you did like programming, engine programming.
We did it all.
Level design, game design, and a little bit of art.
Yeah, a little.
So for us, like aspiring concept artists, it was a lot of stuff. We thought we didn't really have to do. However, in the end, I mean, of course, all those experiences were
It was
valid.
actually very helpful.
Yeah. But, so we wanted to go on an exchange with another university. And they had like an exchange with a university in Japan called Kyoto Seika University. and there we could do a manga or a comic course for like half a year, which was like all drawing basically. And so that was like kind of like a heaven for us, because first we really wanted to draw, and we were super interested in Japanese games, because we always felt like Japanese games, they had this like extra original thing that we felt at the time like Western games didn't have. So we were really interested in why Japanese games had that. So we just literally wanted to go there and went there.
Yeah.
No, so that time it was a very good experience for us, so we decided we wanted to go back.
Yeah, so we lived half a year in Japan, and it was absolutely amazing. And we had all these drawing classes, and like we learned so much about character design and designing stuff. So it was really valuable, and for us, we wanted to go back there. We knew that after our graduation, we wanted to work in Japan, so that was our goal. So what we did was, after graduating, we prepared to do another year in Japan as research.
At the same school.
Same school. And then we could do like a research course for 1 year. You can go there and do a certain...
But basically it just meant you could do whatever the hell you wanted. But... Of course, you had to do like a research, but also you had like a lot of time to kind of like do your own stuff.
Because you did research there, you were allowed to do any class you wanted to do at school. Yeah. So we could, like, my research was into the differences between Dutch game design and Japanese game design, but I could also do like drawing classes and like I did everything during that year, because I wanted to learn as much as I could. So Ward did actually again went to manga. Because you were doing research into how you could use manga to explain a game. Okay. Like how you could make a comic and just explain the game in comic form. Like sort of a game design document, but then visual.
Which was inspired by, I don't know if you remember, like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Do I remember?
Well, the manual was a comic for that game, which
and in Japan,
I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
All of the manuals almost are like comics, and everything is like visual. They always explain things in pictures, and that's really interesting. So we kind of wanted to know.
Isn't it sad how game manuals don't exist anymore?
Yeah.
I think it's really a shame.
That was one dream. Down the drain.
A bit outdated.
My old design director back at Ubisoft, shout out to Manny Diaz. He made it avidly clear. He's like, "Isn't it interesting, Max, how you'll never like beat me on one thing?" And I was like, "What are you on about? I'll beat you in everything, Manny." And he was like, "You'll never have your name on a game manual." And I was like, son of a... He got me there. But no, I think it's sad. Like, that was one of my favourite things is... Like, I was going home with my family, we picked up a game. I'd unwrap the game and open it up and just quickly flick through the manual.
Yes.
I mean, I remember this Zelda manual for the NES, like it was Zelda 2.
This is before my time.
Yeah, this is definitely before Max's time. But it was like in German.
Okay.
So I was like asking my dad, like, what does this mean? But it had like this map and all these characters in it. So that was like super cool. But anyway, getting back to the topic.
R.I.P. game manuals.
So we did like a year of research there, which was absolutely amazing, because the teachers of the school knew all these game companies, and they knew that we wanted to work in Japanese game industry, so they brought us into contact with these people.
Oh, wow.
So
they also had like these companies would go to the university to kind of give a presentation, and then you could do a portfolio review. So that was really cool. And the first one,
we did a portfolio review with From Software.
Oh wow!
And they were so enthusiastic that they invited us over to their studio in Tokyo for an interview. So we were like, "Oh my god!"
We felt like this is
this is it.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and we sat there, and there was this art director, and he started to talk Japanese to us, and we hadn't studied Japanese yet. We had studied it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what he was saying. And he was asking all these questions, and I had no idea what he was saying. So that interview went completely wrong. Like, it complete disaster, and we were like, yeah, okay, thank you, bye.
I can only imagine like the heartbreak of that as well.
We're like, oh my god, if we want to work here, we really have to have a high level of Japanese language. So from that point on, we made a schedule and we studied Japanese like every day, the whole day, and then during the evenings we would work on our portfolio, and that was our whole schedule for half a year, which is Japanese, and do some drawing.
Yeah, because you had this test. Like you can do
a language
test in Japan, which has like a couple of levels. So we just set a clear goal for ourselves. Like we have to make one of these tests, and
we have to
then
pass this language test. So we studied, did the test, and we passed it.
Wow!
And with that, because we had this sort of diploma, we can speak Japanese. Suddenly we could do these interviews and job interviews.
But actually, I mean, we did do the test, but it was still far from being like super fluent, I would say.
But that's impossible because Japanese is like crazy difficult. But we could do a job interview. So the kind of tricky questions they ask at a job interview, but then in Japanese we were able to do that.
But we practiced all those questions with your teacher. Yeah. Remember? Yeah. Like, so because in Japan they have kind of like a rigid job interview system where a lot of their questions are always the same. So we practiced like all these questions so that we could like say the correct answers to them, and then I think like
it was a 75%
of the questions actually were those questions. So
it was easier, but so it was a combination of studying Japanese and working on a portfolio, because with our portfolio we got interviews, and then when we went there and we could actually speak Japanese. That was like a good point. So we applied at Capcom, and you applied at Tango Gameworks actually in Tokyo. Yeah. And it was actually the week before we had to go back to Holland because our visa was expired, and then after a year you have to go back. You can't stay in the country. And it was like, I think maybe even the last day I had my second interview at Capcom. Yeah. And then the day after I flew back to Holland. And 2 weeks later I got this email in Japanese like, oh yeah, you got the job, can you come back? And then I had to fly back to Japan and start working there. But it was really
but it was really nerve-wracking. I remember like the interview, because Tango Gameworks, like the boss is like Shinji Mikami, so he's like the inventor of like Resident Evil basically. So he's kind of like this rockstar game designer, but he was doing the interview, and he always like wears these sunglasses, and he has kind of like this this special style to him. So I was kind of intimidated, but he at one point, so he also studied in Kyoto, and I also studied in Kyoto, so we had a little bit of common ground there. And it was like, okay, so in the end, like they immediately let me know after like 2 hours of interview, so it was pretty long time that I was hired, so I was super excited by that. Yeah,
so then we moved back to Japan and started working.
But our first job was actually in the meantime when we were, because we also did an interview at a like a specialized concept art company. And they gave us some freelance work. Yeah. So we when we were back in Holland, we actually worked on Metal Gear Rising.
No way, did you?
Yeah. So this doctor room, like there's this doctor guy who has all these like hands hanging in his room.
Oh no!
We worked on that room. And the Final Fantasy
tech demo.
Like Agnes Philosophy tech
demo.
The
one with the witch in the red dress.
So this last scene, like the city, the big city, we drew the city.
So so it was actually a combination of language skills, connections, getting to know people is really important, and portfolio. And
but there were also, we also had job interviews at Tri-Ace.
Oh yeah.
And they made like Valkyrie Profile and and all couple of these Square Enix published RPGs. So we also had to kind of like fail a bunch of times in order to succeed.
It wasn't like a success at the first time.
Yeah, especially with the From Software thing.
Yeah.
I think it's very rare. Like, I know there's some people who do just first try to break in, but it's very...
no, it just takes a lot of effort and a lot of failure before you get there.
I guess I'll move on to the next question now. What would you guys advise to include on like someone's portfolio?
For concept art?
Yeah, for concept art.
Okay.
Well, first we have to make the distinction between concept art and illustration.
Yeah, that's really important. Concept art is all about design. So if you want to become a concept artist, you should have original designs in your portfolio.
Okay.
If you have pretty pictures, it's nice, but you're not going to get hired because we need to see that you can actually think of something original and create this. And that means like what we really like to see in portfolios is a design where you show different sides of the same object, for instance.
Okay.
Or
and original things. So like original designs that you came up with yourself. So not, for example, something that has been seen before like a lot of times. I mean, it's not necessarily bad if the quality is good, but it's not going to draw a lot of attention. But if we see like a portfolio that has a design in it that we've never seen before, then you're like, oh, this guy or girl can really design.
Well, we need to. I'm saying we because, well,
the royal we.
Because but like we get a lot of portfolios right now as well that we judge, so we know exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I forgot.
Yeah, but if you can design something and then present it in a way that a 3D modeler can understand and work with, then that's super valuable.
It's a way of thinking. There are like people, for instance, on ArtStation that are really popular, but they do very cool illustrations, and that's just not the way of thinking that we would be looking for.
Right.
So it's not about being popular, of getting a lot of likes or something. It's more about how can you think about stuff. Can you think of new designs? Can you come up with original solutions? And that's the main thing for us.
But of course, like, it has to be a certain quality.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super necessary to work on like the like basic skills.
Yeah, it has of course to have a certain quality of art. That's number one. Yeah. But number two is definitely design.
But we do see a lot of like trend driven stuff.
Yeah.
For example.
Oh, what not to put in your portfolio?
Yeah,
maybe that's don't put tutorials in your portfolio because we know these tutorials. So if we see,
or do you mean like, someone's like done a finished tutorial themselves?
You know, like Learn Squared or Gumroad, they have these tutorials.
They're really good.
They're really good, but make your own thing with it.
Right.
Like we've seen so many cities made in 3D code that are so obviously tutorial that if we see this city again with those buildings, they're like, okay, you know, this drawing I'm not gonna use for my.
So
use that knowledge that you learned.
But if you make something completely new with it, that's good.
Okay, that's cool. And I guess the final question of it is, what is one bit of advice you'd give to someone trying to break in as a concept artist? Just one.
Just one.
Just one. You get one each, so I guess that's 2 tidbits for the listeners. They're doing thinking faces right now.
Yeah.
You can't see this, but this is what they're doing.
It's like Rodin's the thinker right here.
Only one.
I can serenade you listeners with my voice as I sing. Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something.
I can't think.
I really don't.
No.
Try to be a designer.
Yeah, designer. And also...
So design your own original things.
And...
But while.
I said one,
yeah. This is still the same one.
Just because you
design your own original things while taking into consideration like real life like references.
Right.
Okay. And to add to that advice, I would like to say, don't give up. Don't give up your dream. If you want to become a concept artist and you get rejected 10 times, still don't give up. Just go for it, because really, if you keep on doing it, you will get there. And I see a lot of people who settle for less, who think, well, I tried like 5 times and still not, so I'll just do something that I don't want to do, a completely different industry. Don't give up. Just keep on doing this, because really, you will get there. You will get there.
And sometimes you get rejected because
sometimes
of
it's
truly
timing.
Different reasons.
Sometimes
that has
it's
nothing to
not
do with
always
you at
because
all.
you're crappy. Yeah. So.
But I think the don't give up also goes for level design.
Yeah.
True, yeah. No.
I'm not sure though. Yeah.
No, level design, give up.
Yeah.
Just don't even bother getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
If you become a level designer, you've made a mistake somewhere down the road in your life choices. That's obviously not true, in case anyone took that as literal words. But okay, we're going to wrap this up because, wow, this is almost an hour. But thank you very much for coming on. Where can you tell the listeners to reach you for your art stations?
You can put the links in the description.
I'll put it.
Yes,
They don't want to say it. Fine,
we have
guys.
art
I tried.
stations, but I think I don't even remember my art station name. If you just Google my name, you will find it.
I will put actual links to their pages so you don't have to Google their names. Yeah. But again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, listeners, for listening. I hope you guys do enjoy this, because we enjoy making this and it's always great to do this, and I hope they answered some of the questions that we got asked for you. So I guess take care. If you are enjoying this, please do subscribe. If you're listening though through iTunes, please rate this. 5 stars would be awesome, but again, don't feel the pressure of that. But again, cheers guys for listening, take it easy, and we'll see you next time.